everyone. Today I'm showing you a couple of variations to help you get into a deep resting squat. So I have yoga blocks, a weight, and a blanket, and a kitchen sink. I would highly recommend you to open up your feet with the foot cross postures that I recommend, or just kind of massaging your foot open on a rock, right? So the first position is going to be the yoga block support. So if I always say, if a squat should never bother your knees, should never have discomfort in your knees at all. So you want to listen to your knees, listen to your lower back or your neck. If you have increased tension there, you want to make sure you set it up differently. Okay. You want to support your squat. When we support the squat, what we're doing is we're allowing the ground to support our bones so that a natural tone and lift come up through the body versus just trying to stretch something just hanging out in space. It's a very different practice and outcome. So if you are not able to squat all the way down, you can bring the ground up to you, and this is a way to think about like weightlifting. I'm going to go a little bit higher with that, so you can kind of see how I'm not in as much hip flexion and knee flexion or dorsiflexion, and so it's taking away, right, how much flexion I'm in, and I can still practice loading some weight here in my feet, ankles, right? And getting my spine a little more neutral. So a lot of times people will squat, right? So for me, I had a lot of mobility in my lower back, right? And when I would squat, I'd be really rounded, right? And so I actually have to work on my ankle mobility and a little more strength in this posture than just collapsing into my hypermobile sacroiliac spine, right? So here you go. Here's the first posture, a supported lifted seat. I can play with shifting my body weight into the tripods of my feet. I want to notice where that weight is in my feet, because if I'm not supported by blocks, then my body weight is going to load in my feet a specific way. So if my knees are rolling out, my feet are rolling out, or they're collapsing in, right? I want a more neutral position, right? So if the only way you can get into a deep squat is like this, then you need to practice a little bit more closer stance and a little bit kind of more parallel-ish. What feels kind of natural there, right? So just that weight shifting into your feet, and then weight shifting back, okay? You'll know if it's too high of a setup, it just won't feel comfortable, right? That setup was way too high for me, which actually makes my quads work more, interestingly. And so when I'm weight shifting forward, it's a hip hinge, right? My pelvis has to slightly kind of untuck, right? My sit bones can go down and back, hip hinge, right? Not rounding. So hip mobility has to do with the ability to rest and activate, right? So if I can't get into a full hip hinge, if I'm here and I try to stand up, I'm not standing up from a clear foot to pelvic relationship, right? So if I'm here and I stand up, right, I'm going to feel a lot of that in my quads and my shins. But if I'm here, right, and stand up, right, that's going to come more from my whole hip, right? Okay, so second option, holding a weight, finding that counterbalance, right? So holding a weight, if you are almost into your squat, but you can't quite, you keep falling back, you can hold a weight. Most likely you're falling back because this is tight, right? So the third option is bring your heels up. It might be just a slight little lift. You may only need the slightest little lift, and that could just completely be a game changer, right? Or you might need a little lift and a weight, so that helps you center yourself from front to back with gravity. It allows your feet to start to load equally. So we need our feet and ankles to open with strength, right? Okay. You may find you need just a higher blanket, right? And then that might be all good. There's a lot of, you want to just play with a lot of different options, okay? And then I'll show you the sink squats that I like. Here's the option if you need something to hold on to. If you have a rug, you'll want to move it either behind you, right, where your heels are going to go. Because if you're needing to use the sink, you're probably not able to go all the way down. So I would have it actually underneath the heels and not having your toes up on it. So I'm going to hold on to my sink. Notice I'm kind of standing pretty far back here. A lot of times if the squat bothers your knees, it's because you're using too much quad and you're not in your heels enough, right? So I can use the sink to kind of lean back, right? But then I want to hip hinge, right? So I don't want to be tucked under. So I want to let my sit bones kind of release up and back, feel my heels, right? And this is a great way to get down if you have a lot of knee pain, to start to feel weight in your heels, right? And you may not go all the way down, and that's totally fine too. You could have your heels higher here as well. So you could be doing your hanging or holding squat with your heels up, right? And then this helps you come out of it if you're holding on to something while you're learning to feel weight in your heels, right? Instead of going straight up until your brain understands how to use the front and back of your body and gets more natural mobility, you can actually swing your hips back and up, right? So you would swing your hips back. And so I'm feeling a lot more tone through the back of my legs, right? And as I come up. So I'm gonna hinge down, right? I'm still hinging and coming back up. So then over time, right, you can still feel the back of the legs supporting the front so that the knees can go over the toes, right, without knee pain, because it's not just the quads working. You're getting more hip to ankle mobility. Okay, and so here's one more practice. It's an archetypal posture called cowboy sit that can help your squat. So basically, you're going to, you could practice sitting on your heels first. Call this just a heel sit. The heels are apart. I have this in a lot of my other videos. You can build up that surface as much as you need to. Okay. So what's going to happen now is that one leg is going to come forward. Okay. So you see how this leg is in a squat position. So I'm not loading all my weight though on it. I'm loading my weight somewhat on this side. So you want to make sure this leg feels comfortable. So I'm up on a block. Most likely, if you're not able to get in a squat, you may not be able to sit comfortably in that heel sit, but you might. So anyhow, I lift that surface up. That puts me in my squat position. So if you're really tight back here, you can start with your foot more forward and trying to experience the hinge here versus being tucked back. So the more I lift my hips up on something high, right, that may help me, right, just practice the squat from one side to the other. So again, I want to hinge forward, feeling some weight right? Sometimes the feet are really tight, and it can be useful to just for your foot to feel weight. When the foot loads equally or fully, and it opens, like when it grounds and opens, your heel will slide back, your tibia, your lower leg will kind of spin in, your thigh will spin, so everything just kind of spins in the right direction, and you'll feel your hip open because your foot and ankle open. So there's a lot of things that have to happen. It's not flexibility necessarily, it's the relationship of one joint above and below. So whether that's a high position, right, you can practice this if you're maybe close to your squat but not quite there. You might be able to just not use a prop, sitting on one heel, and you might just kind of have one foot slightly in front, right? You could do a gentle pushing off your back hand, right? Shifting that weight forward, sitting on that hip. I usually recommend a block. That helps your center of gravity be more centered versus like dumping all your weight. So this is cowboy sit. And of course you would switch that from one side to the other, and you may notice this is useful because sometimes it's one side that might be limiting your squat. And then I practice with a little bit of weight shift there. And over time, your knee may be able to start going, so you may kind of start here, right? If my foot is out in front, I'm going to lift my hip up a little higher so I get a good hip hinge here, right? And not with my pelvis tucked under. So when you're in a squat, your pelvis is in its full flexed position, right? So if I'm tucking under, I'm actually not in full hip flexion there, right? I need my pelvis to anterior rotate so that I'm in hip flexion, not a posterior tilt, right? So when I'm in a full squat, right, same thing. I want my pelvis to rotate forward and down, right? And not tucking back and under, right? And the more my ankles open, right, the more that my hips, right, get strong and mobile in that position, okay? One more thing. So when you're in your deep squat, you want the front of your ankle right here, this tendon, right, when your tibia is not spinning in and releasing back, right, this tendon right here will pop up and come forward. So if you go down into your squat and your tendons are kind of white and hard and pulling up, right, you want those to actually relax, right? So we want that to be soft and relaxed. That means your foot and your ankle have opened, and there's kind of counter spiral agreements happening in your foot and your ankle. So you want to look for that too. So if you can drop into a deep squat, and sometimes this counterweight will also help your feet ground and open if your ankles or that tendon is popping up to the front. There's a partner squat. I'll record that in the future, and that is magic sometimes for other people, right? So if you're just using a small little block, again, you want to bring your fingers down and feel for the front of the ankle, right? And if that tendon pops up, you want to try to relax your feet. Think, can I feel the ground coming up underneath my feet? And your heels, like heel weight, big toe, pinky toe, mound, and then where you stack your body or your center of gravity matters as well. There's a centering place for that. So everything kind of centers and your feet will open, and that tendon will turn off, and then you're in a resting squat.